All right, so as a quick little intro into this video, I ended up filming this all in one go and then deciding to cut it down because it was way too long, and I felt like just getting a couple slightly larger videos out of it than having one really, really big video made a lot more sense because I'm not super familiar with YouTube's algorithm yet. So I decided to cut it up and show you guys and talk to you guys about the other half of my visual communication design or graphic design college projects. If that sounds like something you guys would enjoy, hopefully you watched the first video. If you didn't, I'm Rory Fluent. Feel free to call me Rory. If you're new around here, hi, hello, how are you? Feel free to let me know in the comments down below. I like to create dope art content and hopefully curate a chill atmosphere. And if you're not new around here, what is up, my guys? Let's get into this video. For Akron, working with their IT department to create a small little identity that they could use internally just as something to boost their spirits and to create a sense of identity for the group. And so this was a really fun experience. I got to work with people and chat with them about different ideas and concepts and kind of go through a process through actual people and not just a professor. And that was really neat. So here is a quick insert of some of the physical things that I've printed and created in my design degree. I decided to just go ahead and film all of them and show them real quick. So this is the booklet for my capstone project. I printed out all of these pages and I had to design them in a way so that they would print and fit together in a saddle stitch binding and make sense, and so that the corresponding pages would be next to each other. And I created just everything that you can kind of see here on these pages, and I wrote the body copy, and I created this design system for each kind of new chapter and all of the illustrations. It is all mine. And I really love this booklet. I'm really proud of it. I don't necessarily love the cover anymore. I feel like I can do way better than this. I do like the back though, and this sort of repeated pattern. And yeah, I had a lot of fun drawing a lot of goofy axolotls and fun axolotl like doodles. This one was a lot of fun. But yeah, so this is the booklet, and I also really like this inner spread here. I'm a pretty big fan of the way that it turned out. Generally the pages, I'm really happy with them. Like this big guy here, I quite like him. But yeah, the cover is lackluster. I would redesign the cover in my opinion. I think I might make it all this green color and actually forego the illustration completely, so that when you open it, it's like, oh wow, this is going to be an illustrated book, and be a little bit more of a of contrast. This here is my slightly dented salmon pellets packaging. So I designed and then printed out and built this whole thing out of paper, even kind of like a base idea of how it would stay closed. And I honestly like both of these packagings a lot. This is for bloodworms, which are more like they're more like snacks for axolotls rather than like a food. But I learned through this project that there's actually nutritional analyses on the backs of all food, even for pets, and I thought that was kind of funny. So I'm really happy with this sort of offset. Oh, I wish I could remember what it's called. Out of registration, that's what it's called. Out of registration design that I kind of took and put into my branding system. So that was those, and then this is the pamphlet that the whole idea or goal of it was to be interactive and to work in an interactive manner. So it had to have some sort of extra bit, something you could pull on, something that made you want to pick up and touch this printed media. And so I opted for sort of like this interesting folded pamphlet that you would open, read, and then further open for more information. And the main problem with this is that the text is just a smidge too small in the final product. I would bump it up a little bit. But other than that, I'm really happy with it. I had just so much fun playing around with typography. It was a very playful project, and so this was just a really nice breath of fresh air, especially after some of the more intense projects that I had to create. This is my favorite of the tea packagings. So again, had to design this and then print it out. And this is on much thicker, much sturdier paper. You had to create something that would hold up, and then theoretically this would close like this. The major issue with this design was just that the packaging was a little bit difficult to close. You know, that would have to be iterated upon, and probably to find a different material to, in the end, build this out of. But obviously you wouldn't put food in basic cardstock anyways, so that was kind of the idea. But yeah, this illustration here I thought just captured exactly what I was trying to go for with the project. And I don't know, I feel like looking back at it, some of my other designs I liked a bit better, but this is the one the professor pushed me to do, so this is what I ended up coming up with. And then last but not least, my annual report, the kind of big thing of my degree. So this was a absolute hassle to create. It was, it's printed on very expensive, nice paper. I had to go to FedEx to print it. I couldn't print it at my own home and build it myself. And I had to hand cut the paper. It was just so intimidating. Again, everything you see here is mine, was designed by me, and I wrote. So here you can kind of see and really interact with the print medium. It looks a lot better, I think, printed, because it's made for print. So this is one of my favorite spreads. I just think it's very nice. The flow is really cool, and you can generally see the system that I was trying to build off of. I'm also really happy with these simple spreads. I feel like a lot of my stuff tends to be very complicated and very illustrative, and so to be able to just have some typography and numbers on a page and have that work was incredibly rewarding. So, a more type-heavy page to a more graphic page, and that was kind of like how I was doing this. This was just a nice spacer page. One of the comments I got was to put these closer together. I ended up with like a 95, I believe, on this, so I performed very well, which was super exciting because I wanted to like throw up when I handed this into my professor. Another type-heavy page. Loved this kind of cat, curling and interacting with the what are they? Infographics. This was the boring shit that we had to spruce up and make interesting and also fit with the rest of our annual report, and then a nice closing spacer page. And that is my annual report, and these are my printed projects that I have a bunch more like posters and things. Almost every poster that I mentioned in the video I do have, but I don't have them with me at the moment. So these are some of the more interesting and intricate things that I own, that I built and designed myself. And let's see here. So then we have, okay, so following that, I took an internship at Kent State University's esports. Oh my God, what are they? Like esports team, I guess? I took it in regards to their club. Their club wanted some revamping, and we also did media work for the, what are they called? Like varsity teams? So the varsity team that genuinely competes in like school tournaments and stuff. We handled their social media. This is an example of something that I designed for them. And then these are social media posts that I designed for the club. This I do believe is for the varsity team though. And then these are some logos that I created for the club. So the KSU Esports Club and the Smash Community were two logos that I created. The Smash Community is one that ended up being used, which was really, really exciting. And here's some ideas for like some merchandise that the Smash Community could use with that logo, and I was really proud of it and really happy with it. I understand that Nintendo kind of has a pretty serious like copyright infringement kind of policy or whatever, but according to my professor, who for this specific class is someone who's worked in logo design for a really, really long time, he was completely fine with it and thought that it was a fantastic idea for them, specifically because the community themselves were incredibly adamant about having to have some sort of like identity in Smash, so it had to be something that would like connect with Nintendo. And so I actually got to work directly with the Smash community to create and curate their social media posts, their schedules, their logo, and so on and so forth. And it was a really fun experience. It was a lot about learning how to work with people and work for people. This PSA project was something that I'm pretty proud of. It was a 3D project. The idea was to print out a small pamphlet, and it was really just a goofy thing that was supposed to be fun and kind of be very light and something that someone would want to pick up and read. And so I made mine about spiders and how they're not that bad. And I really like it. So I did create the final piece, and you can see here some of my base sketches and ideas. Those lines represent the body copy and text and where it would go, and how I brought that idea to life with these little illustrations and these really interesting, fun, fluid lines that kind of guide your eye around the page. I'm being really mindful of alignments, and I'm using typography in a really interesting way, both vertically and horizontally, and the whole thing was just very experimental and very, very, very fun. So now that we've chatted about that, let's make sure I'm not missing anything. We'll go ahead and talk about this. So this was a project that, as you can see, it was just about redesigning a book cover. So I created, see, this is also cutting off. Strange. It wasn't like that the last time that I looked at my website. I clearly have some things to fiddle with. But here you can see that I designed this book cover for a book called The Joy of Chickens by Christopher Nolan, and this is just kind of like some of the concept design and the final product, which I'm really happy with. I love the really clean chicken doodle. The colors are really nice and pleasant, and overall I had a lot of fun designing this book. I also had another book that I ended up designing for. Yes, so this was an entire book campaign. So I designed social media. Specifically, the social media had to work together. So these would be like 6 different posts that would kind of go together. And when you look at them on their Instagram page, it would create an envelope and these large, what are they? Oh my God. Quotation marks kind of guide your eye and lead you to the different typography that I have, which are all quotes from the book. And this I'm super excited about. Specifically, we were challenged with not using any illustration at all and using some like vector art, or not art even, like images. So this is an image of an envelope that I then turned into a halftone and played with the opacity and created this sort of like subtle envelope on the E. And from there, I just kind of, I designed a book cover, and it was a lot of fun. Okay, so I just realized that the issue was that I had my screen shrunk, and that was like messing with where the images were laying on the website, which is super annoying. Okay, so I'm not sure how I'm going to edit this, but basically I noticed that all of the images were slightly skewed because I had my screen shrunk down. So we're going to see if that helps with some of the problems that I've been slightly annoyed by. So this was one of my largest projects. It was an annual report. We had to pick a specific company, a real company, and we had to literally take all of the data from that company's yearly report, and we had to put it into a single document, and it was a lot. And so you can see here I created both a website that could be used both on the computer and on the phone, and I created a physical annual report. And I wanted to go very lighthearted with this, so I chose Caterpillar, which is a mechanical machine company, and I wanted to really play into the cat and caterpillar, and I decided on this concept of cat chasing a caterpillar throughout my document as I displayed different goals that they reached, different promises that they made, and I created all of the titles, all of the typography, all of the graphics, and I created these charts here which show off specifically the different balances, different cash flows of the year, and all kinds of shit like that. And it was complicated and hard, but I did it. So you can see here that this is kind of running through my website, both on the computer and created for the phone. I learned how to use two different website editing softwares. So one was XD, and these were actually made on Figma. So that way I could say I was fluent in both programs, I guess you could call them. And yeah, I just had a lot of fun designing this. The website and for both the computer and the phone were designed in about 1 week, I believe, and the entire booklet was designed in 5. I believe we had 6 weeks for the entire project, and it was a hassle. It was a huge project. My professor was incredibly harsh. She nitpicked everything to death. I ended up getting a fantastic score on the project. I think I got a 95, which I was very, very happy with. This project was notoriously difficult in my program, and so for not only to have a 95 on that project, but a 95 from a professor who is incredibly difficult and very nitpicky, specifically in typography, which is why she teaches this class and teaches this specific project, because it is all about microtype and all about synthesizing information and presenting it in a way that makes you want to read it, even though it's really boring information. And I guess I'll take a second to go ahead and explain that all of the projects that you're seeing here are projects that were incredibly successful in my program, not to toot my own horn or anything, but I was a student that professors were always very happy to have and very impressed with my work. So all of my projects got above a 90%, and they were all highly regarded by my professors and by the people that I worked with. And that's something that I'm very proud of and really happy with. So with that being said, this is a retail graphics package that was created for a building that would hypothetically go up into Kent State. And it actually had to be certified by Kent's zoning. And so we created this graphics package, which is a physical document detailing measurements to a T, the different paints that we wanted to use for the designing of the building, just so many specific measurements. And we had to give it over to Kent's zoning, and literally it had to pass or we failed. And that was really scary. But mine passed, and the idea for the whole piece was just to be very illustrative regarding a building that would sell not just plants, but general lawn decor and things like that. And so the building that I chose, I decided to implement a garage. I would design these different leaf logos for the door. I designed the Urban Roots logo. We were given the name, but we did have to create the design. I created a small icon for Urban Roots, and then these large planters are actually fake. They would be built out of metal, and let's see, I don't really have the page here, but you see here how this sign sort of sticks out of the wall using brackets. So the idea would be the same for these metal pieces, but they would be created out of metal, painted, varnished, and then placed above these windows. This project was a lot of fun. We had, I think, 1 week to do it. I know I haven't been mentioning all of the weeks, but this was done in about a week and a half, so it was very quick turnaround, and I ended up designing another one in my free time as well, that would be an old retro furniture shop called Introspect, and so I had a lot of fun with this little design as well, and in the end, it was something that I got 100% on. I passed with flying colors, and that made me very, very happy. What do we have next? So this was an early on packaging design project. I focused again on illustration, specifically on patterning with it, and I just created a set that you could potentially purchase at the store that would give you carrot seeds, an instructional card, and a poster, and it would all come in this little package. And so I had a lot of fun designing the pattern and how it would work both on a poster, on a postcard, in the outer packaging, and on the seed packet, which I definitely think the seed packet and the poster were my favorites. But just a really nice, easy breather of a project. I think I completed it in about 2 weeks. But it was early on in my design career. This was one of my first projects that I had regarding synthesizing data and then putting it into a informational graphic or an infographic. And yeah, I specifically did this about potatoes and their growth cycles and their yields, and I just kind of had a lot of fun designing all of these infographics in Learning Illustrator and how to create infographics in Illustrator, and then also focusing a little bit on my microtype. So these posters, there were 2 of them, were entirely conceptual, and we had a lot of figuring out to do. It was done in 2 weeks, and it was for a genuine refugee conference, and the idea was to design posters around a minority group that is being affected by their lack of ability to communicate in the healthcare system. And so these are the 2 posters that I created, trying to harness how someone feels who has a language barrier and cannot communicate to healthcare providers in the way that they need to get the service that they need to be healthy and happy. And yeah, so this project, I kind of took the time to show a lot of my process sketches. I mean, this isn't even half of them, but my process sketches, where I started, all of the iterating. This is from the same professor that did my annual report, so it was incredibly difficult, and she is very nitpicky, but I did get a very successful score on this project, and I had a lot of fun doing it, actually. It really pushed my typography skills and kind of flexed my brain a little bit, that's for sure. I can go ahead and talk about Dave's Gourmet Pasta Sauce, just a redesign, a simple label, just kind of integrating illustration into a logo and identity, and having that work for not only like normal pasta sauce, but different kinds of pasta sauce, and how does that get integrated into a label that wraps around a can or a jar. And so yeah, this was just a really nice, another breather of a project that I had a lot of fun with. I'll go ahead and talk about this project. Huge project. So this was for Cleveland Metro Parks. They have a what is it? I don't even know what to call it, really, but we had to create stickers, merchandise, and a promotional poster about a park event. And so the park event was supposed to bring people together, specifically families was the target audience, and make them want to go on a hike and plant trees. So I decided to focus on people who might find fungus very interesting and mushrooms. I feel like kids really like mushrooms, and so I kind of took that theme and kind of ran with it, because there are specific mushrooms that grow only in the Ohio area in Cleveland, and I kind of created my stickers as based off of those mushrooms that would grow locally that you might be able to find on your hike. And I also created a mushroom identification card set that you can earn if you complete the hike, and yeah, this was kind of another breather of a project, not too bad. So this was for my 3D class. This was my Goodyear Metro Park signage redesign, and it was a giant project. So I think we only had 2 weeks to do it, but boy, oh boy, was it a lot. So similar to the retail design, all of our measurements had to be true, and they had to be on a specific scale. We had to create mock-ups of our different signs that we were recreating for different areas. I pulled Goodyear Metro Park out of a bag, and so that's what I ended up doing. And let's go to my full process book. Yeah, so let's see here. So you can see I started with inspiration. I really liked this Timken inspiration. I thought that this sign was just really interesting and clean. We had to create a creative brief, which just outlined our entire project, our goals, so that way our professor had something to hold us to for the project when we turned it in. I did some field research, took lots of notes, did material research, created my own partie diagram of the park. This is all mine. It's what I created. Here are some base sketches. I had a few different ideas that I was going off of. This is the final idea that my professor and I both agreed had the most chance for success. Some really strange color studies, and you can just really see kind of from here all of the different work that I put into this project and the different signs. So we had to create a gateway sign, a map, some sort of alternative sign of some kind that would have different kinds of information. So for me, they had a parkour trail, so I created a parkour sign, directional sign, and a locational sign. And we had to create the different sides of the signs as well as them in scale with actual people. We had to show our typography, our final materials that these would be built with, and then these were my final mock-up photos and these were my final mock-ups. So yeah, as you can see, this was a pretty serious project. We had some pretty intense limitations and really specific specifications that we had to work with, and we had to give just so much detail. So these are like the individual signs and how they would scale out on a 1:1 ratio, and and then you had to make sure to label what wasn't to scale and be serious about that, so that my professor understood exactly what she was looking at and how big these things were really going to be. And yeah, it was just like, it was intense, but it was a lot of fun, and these are the final setups for them. And this was such an interesting project, wayfinding, so the idea of using typography as a directional medium in signs is just a huge deal in the design community, and I had a lot of fun figuring out how I would go about designing signs. This is my merchandise. So the entire goal of this project was to take an idea and make sure that it was marketable and easily could be placed into different environments and on different things and utilized to sell a product. And so I chose to use this concept to sell glow sticks because I thought it would be a lot of fun. And this is like a glow stick container that would contain the glow sticks for the festival, because the lights are such a huge part of the festival and kids and families oftentimes love glow sticks. And so this is a small postcard. This is a logo that I created. The typography is manipulated by me. And here's all kinds of different merchandise that I chose to show off as a way that you could utilize my design in the for the festival, if Cleveland Metro Parks wanted to. And so yeah, this is one of my favorite projects. I just feel like my illustration is really, really complete and professional, and it was exactly what I wanted it to be. And so with that, I'm gonna go ahead and say that this is my final project. And then this is basically 3 years of design work. I would say more like 2, because my first year was a lot about learning. So if you made it this far into the video, I have no idea how long this is going to be. I'm going to have to cut some of this down, good God. But thank you so much. I hope that the person who asked for this got what they wanted and know a little bit more about design and about what some projects that you might be handed and have to do in design school look like. And so yeah, with that, I'm going to go ahead and go and figure out how to edit this down. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye!